Welcome to Unseen with Tampa Fire Rescue. I'm Fire Chief Tom Forward. This month, we bring you a story about being in the right place at the right time, and also about knowing what to do in an emergency. A combination of luck, skill, and the willingness to help brought this story to a positive conclusion. The best way to tell this story is by having the people involved tell you in their own words. Let's take a look.
Well, I decided to go to the gym one morning to work out, and in the middle of my workout, I noticed a commotion across the gym, and I saw a lot of people start huddling around, one certain person laying on the ground, and so I figured it was an emergency, so I decided to run over there because that's just in my nature to help out.
That day, I went over in the functional area to go do abs. End of that day, a man was doing walking lunges with a barbell. While I was doing my set, all I heard was someone scream Chad's name, which was his son-in-law. And so I sat up to see what was happening. He was already rolled over on his back.
I was doing a consultation over at the table, and somebody yelled for help for a personal trainer. I saw the man on the ground. There was some people starting to crowd around him. I jumped over the little balcony thing right there. I ran over to him. Gus had gotten there just right after me. He lifted up his shirt. We checked his pulse. He didn't have a pulse. He wasn't breathing. I ran and grabbed the AED.
So we already had a nurse over there, and we also had another guy over there who was checking already his pulse. So I go walking over there. Kevin runs by me saying, "We need to go get the AED. He's in cardiac arrest."
While I got there, I noticed a gentleman, Gus, starting to do CPR on the guy on the floor. And so once we confirmed that he didn't have a pulse, we called for the AED, got the AED over there, threw the pads on him. Again, the machine also confirmed that there was no pulse. Delivered a shock, as it advised us to do. Gave him another round of CPR.
By the time I got done with that second set of compressions, he already started breathing again. His eyes shot open. I stopped compressions. We were about to start breathing for him. We took the mask off, let him breathe a little bit, and by the time it was all said and done, the fire department came, and then that was that. And
within just finishing up that round of just compressions, he came back to life and started talking to us and mumbling a little bit, so we stopped CPR, made sure there was a pulse, which there was, and he was tempted to get up and everything, but we told him to lay back down.
In this case, because it was within a 1 minute window, 30 seconds, hearing from what he told me that he collapsed and he was out for at least 30 seconds. 30 seconds after that, I started CPR. So everything that they ever told us in school, when you start CPR within a certain frame and window, your best chances of getting them back is probably the earliest when you can get to them is the better chance that they'll be coming back. So I'm happy that they were right about that statistic.
He said he actually did have a cardiac history, and he has had an episode like this before. So it just goes to show you that early defibrillation and good CPR really, it's effective, and we brought him back to life before a county got there, and then they transferred him to the hospital.
That's pretty much the short version of a much longer version of what happened.
I did go to Leary to go get my EMT. I'm also a reserve firefighter for Hillsborough County Fire Rescue, Station 21. I am AED and CPR certified. So when that happened, my training kicked in and I did what I had to do.
It felt good, but ultimately I felt like I was just doing my job. I'm prior military police. I served in Iraq in the Army, so I mean, it was very familiar to me.
It's gratifying to know that that what you did actually helped and saved a life. It's nice to know that everything that you learn in school and everything that you've ever been trained for does help and can actually bring someone back. In my experiences, usually they don't ever come back, so then seeing his eyes shoot open for me was a very big experience for me.
I think it's very important to know how to do CPR and how to deliver it, and just giving good chest compressions alone can save someone's life.
Every employee here is AED certified. All of our managers, our staff, everybody's AED certified.
Because you never know who could have heart failure or what kind of problems they have. So it's always good to have one on hand no matter where you are.
It was a very exciting moment to bring someone back to life and have them talking to you at this moments later. Definitely, it was different, but a good different.
We've heard from many of the people involved that day at Crunch Fitness, with one notable exception. Next, We'll hear from John Claypool about what happened to him and how he's doing now.
I'd come to the gym with my son-in-law. We were here working out together, and had done that a couple of times. We were in the second set of a routine that we were doing, and doing a full body exercise with a barbell, doing a deadlift, row, push up on the bar, and then rolling out from the knees. On the second set, I did about 8 reps, and it's pretty intense exercise. But being the kind of guy I am, I thought, well, let me see if I can get 9. So I did number 9, and at the end of 9, I'm on my knees, leaning on, hanging on the bar, and I felt dizzy. So I said, well, I'll rest here for a second until I feel better, and then I'll get up. Well, apparently, that's the last thing I remember. That's the last thought I had. And my son-in-law said I just kind of slowly, my head went down to the bar, and then I rolled over. And the next thing I remember, I'm waking up with everybody around me. I started, well, actually, when I was 25 years old, I started taking blood pressure medication. I was actually a paramedic for 12 years. Worked in Lake, Sumter, and those counties up there. And at 25, I started taking blood pressure medication. My dad died when I was 12. He was 43, had a massive heart attack. And so I kind of, knew that there might be the conditions there to cause that kind of a problem. So, but at 25, I started taking blood pressure medication. At 37, I had my first heart attack. Of course, I wasn't living right. I was not exercising like I should, not eating, not paying attention to what I eat. And then, of course, with the genetics, probably that added to it as well. When I had the heart attack at 37, I actually they didn't find it until I was 38. A year later, I started having problems with angina. I went to the doctor. Then they did bypass surgery on that. They told me then that I had 2 other blockages. I still didn't change anything. I was still not exercising, not taking care of myself, eating pretty much what I wanted to eat. I've been diagnosed with diabetes as well. So I had the big 3, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. And then about 2 years ago, my first grandson was born. I mean, I've become a workout junkie. I was working out 6 days a week. So when I wasn't working my trainer, I'd come here and I'd work out anyway. Some trainers probably say I was probably overworking myself, but I just enjoyed doing it. I had come in here, not knowing that I thought that everything I was doing was perhaps taking care of that 3rd blockage. Not the case, apparently. I was to the point, I had so much weight and I was so out of shape that I couldn't get up in my house from the couch and walk down the hallway to my bedroom without having chest pain certain times of the day. So I knew coming into this, there's no way I'm going to be able to do any exercise and not experience some chest pain. So it was kind of a difficult situation, but we worked with it. At the beginning, there was a lot of stopping, a lot of resting. I wasn't able to get a lot accomplished, but because he persisted and I persisted, things got better. And gradually it got to the point where, yes, I would still experience chest pain from time to time, and I'd have to stop and rest, let it go away, and then start up again. But, it was getting less and less, and maybe I was getting more and more used to it, the symptoms. And I'm the type of guy that pushes a little harder every time. I come from the old school. If it doesn't hurt, it's not working, so kind of thing. So I was probably trying to push a little bit that day, and I didn't realize that other blockage had gone to 100%. But I found out afterwards that that was the case. So there's a lot of things going on there that brought it on. But thankfully, I look at it as a bump in the road. We got past it. I'm certainly very, very grateful for the staff here. Tracy, a cardiac nurse, that her and her husband were working out right beside myself and my son-in-law, and from what he says, she was the first one that got to me and, took care, started taking care of the situation, and then everybody else jumped in. I'm thankful that they have an AED here, because being a paramedic, I know that early defibrillation is the key to survival within about 4 minutes after the collapse. So, from what my son-in-law says, from the time I was down to the time I started responding again was only about 2.5, 3 minutes. So they were Johnny money on the spot getting things done, and you know, that's why I'm here today, because of that. And of course, I believe that my Heavenly Father put those people in place and set the situation up, because He already knew that was going to happen, and He took care of it ahead of time, and they just stepped in and did what they were supposed to do. I'd seen her around the gym. I didn't know who Claudia was. I didn't know her name was Claudia, but I had seen her, you know, around the gym. And then a few weeks later, after the incident, when I was out of the hospital, I came back by the gym just to say thank you. And of course, everybody knew who I was. I'm famous around here now, I guess, because of what happened. But you know, a lot of handshaking, and I asked the names of people, and they were letting me know who was involved. Today's the first day I met Gus, because he comes in early in the morning apparently, and he leaves usually before I get here. So I was thankful to be able to meet him today. But they introduced me to Claudia, and of course, you know, seeing her then, I remember seeing her around the gym, and she's in shape. She works out a lot, and I'm thankful for that. That's an inspiration to me, to see folks here that you know, really stick with it. I'm actually in the process of getting my certified personal trainer myself. I took the NASM course, and I haven't taken the test yet, but one of the things I've got to do, and here I was a paramedic for 12 years, but I've got to go back and get CPR and AED certified in order to be able to take that test. So I'm thankful to do it, though, because I know a lot of things have changed. It's back in the 90s when I was a paramedic, and CPR and the things that you did were very different back then. A lot of the things that we used to do then, they decided not necessary, and that, you know, the key is early defibrillation. So even if you know CPR, my experience has been from being a paramedic that CPR is good for a temporary amount of time, but if you can't get that early defibrillation within about 4 minutes after the person collapses, the chances are they're not going to survive it. My emergency room doctor told the family, he said, you know, he said less than 10% of people that experience a sudden cardiac arrest event like that survive it. And then he said less than 10% of that group come out of it as well as he has. I mean, I was pretty much alert and awake and doing fine a few hours after this had happened. And I attribute all that to the fact that people were right on top of it. They wanted to help, and they were there for me. And the fact that the gym has the proper equipment, and it worked that day, and they knew how to use it. So I'm thankful for that. And yes, absolutely, I think it would be a great thing for if every citizen would, you know, take a CPR AED course, because you see them everywhere now. I notice them all the time. I go to the hospital and you'll see it at the parking garage there by the elevators, and a lot of people aren't aware of what those things are, but if they'd take a course and they'd know, and they could be the hero too and save somebody's life with that.
Not every story has a happy ending like this one, but you can do your part to even up the odds. Learn CPR, learn how to use an AED, and take a basic first aid class. Learn the signs and symptoms of a heart attack and how they vary in men and women. You may never need these skills, but if you do, you'll be ready to help. I'm Fire Chief Tom Forward. Thanks for joining me today for Unseen with Tampa Fire Rescue. Stay safe.